We live.
All right, and we live. Let's do.
Starting off fresh from KPG. We starting off fresh from KPG. We started off first talking with G. We started off first talking with G. Then we went and added Kori. Added Prince, that's the KPG. We starting off fresh from KPG. Added Prince, now it's KPG. Added Prince, now it's KPG. And we just talking with KPG.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to our first episode in Black History Month. This is episode 87 of Talking with KPG. Currently, I am your host, Kori, Decatur's realist. In my middle, I got my man G, who is on assignment right now, taking care of his son, but he's here with us. And on the corner, I got my HBCU champ, Big Charlie. What's happening, guys?
What's really
What's
going
good,
on?
Brody?
Yeah, man. Hey, listen. I'm excited, man. This is Black History Month. This is KPG Black History Month for the first time. Well, not for the first time, but I'm really into this. Y'all gonna really enjoy what we got in store for the show today. As your host today, I want to get into, I guess, the tip of the iceberg with Black history. I want us to embrace it. I want us to be able to put our hearts into it as best we can, and we'll get started, man. The hot topic for what's been going on is my man Will Flores. Have y'all been thinking about that? What's going on? What's in your head, man?
Man, I don't know what to think.
What's up?
Yeah, I don't know what to think. And I know we've been texting back and forth, and there's been a lot of everything going back and forth. But I just hope that, I think, like G said in the text, that somebody's backing him up and he don't get blackballed.
Yeah. Let me break down, I guess, my take so far with the past couple of days. So the most I would like to say the meat to this. Will Flores was chilling at the house, right? And he gets a text message from his old mentor, Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick basically embraces, "Hey man, congratulations! I heard you're the front runner for the job at the Giants, and he was really just trying to congratulate his buddy. Oh, before I finish, what's up, man? I got my man Zach from A to Z Media on. I'd like to welcome him to the show also. What's up, Z? Can you hear me? Zach, can you hear us? Oh, well, hold on. I got added to the show. My bad.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Zach, my bad.
How's it going?
What's up? I got my man Zach from A to Z Media. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. What's going on, everybody? Hope we're doing all right. Hope the chat's doing okay. What are we talking about, boys?
Today, man, listen, I'm glad that you're here. Today is one of our first shows, episode 87 in the books. I mean, well, not in the books, but we're just starting episode 87.
First shows? That's number 87. Number 87 is not one of your first shows?
No, I'm talking as far as Black History Month.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You are now part of diverse Black history on the
big
show.
Country. Big country.
big country. As a man of light color. We like to
I'm just extremely light skinned.
Right. We like to welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, look, truth be told, you ain't too far from me and Chuck.
But y'all look like Chuck. They look like Chuck right now. Look, like Chuck twins.
Gee, don't you ever insult me like that ever again, okay?
That's a compliment, a great compliment.
I know, right? Just a little lighter shade. That's cool, but. So, today I was telling him, I said, my man G is out on assignment, helping his son, which is, commendable. But in lure of Black History Month, I want to get in on the story with Will Flores first. I know that in my heart, this story depicts a lot of what we've been dealing with for, centuries in terms of how people have been treated, in terms of how, Black people have to kind of jump where others have to just walk to. or just step to in terms of getting jobs, in terms of being treated properly from an interview standpoint. So I was just breaking down what I've been reading and what I've been observing, what I've been seeing on TV in terms of Brian Flores and his experiences right now with interviewing for head coaching positions. Yeah. So right now in the league, we have currently one coach of color in the NFL. Now, NFL has gotten its stigmatism. It's gotten its reputation for being a good old boy type system. The Billionaire Boys Club, they kind of make their own decisions from hiring to firing, how the league is being ran. I mean, currently its active participants are 70%, and then white, Asian, Spanish, other, whatever, but 70% of the NFL Players Association are black. But when it comes to the coaching carousel, from assistant coaches to head coaches, just everybody in a management coaching position is less, right at 1%.
Also, broadcasting as well, calling the game, and then stuff like that too. Discrepancy there.
Awesome. So I was just breaking down for the viewers, right now what I've gathered. So he's at his house chilling, and he gets a text message from his former mentor, Brian Belichick. It's Belichick. Well, is it
Bill Belichick? Bill
Belichick. Bill Belichick. I'm sorry, Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick sends a text message to Brian Flores congratulating him on getting the head coaching position, or he said he heard that he's the front runner for the head coaching position at the Giants. So Bill Belichick, this is one of his guys. He was on his staff for 10 years. He's calling himself looking out. He's calling himself, just giving this guy a heads up, and ends up making a mistake because he didn't read the text messages on his phone correctly. And this started the whole trend of they had already chose their guy, but they still had to interview him 4 days later. This type of thing has happened before, and Brian Flores, knowing that it will literally kill his ability to ever get a job again as a head coach in the NFL, decided to take a stand and send the message out there that this is how I found out that I was being screwed over.
Yeah.
From where we are now, tell me how y'all feel, man. I'm gonna start with Chuck. He was talking before, we started, but I'm gonna let Chuck finish his thought. Where you at, Chuck, in terms of what's been going on with this Brian Flores situation, brother?
Yeah, I guess like you said, and like I was saying previously, I just hope that he doesn't get blackballed. I mean, and all indications are that he may, but somebody's got to stand up and take a stand and basically come out and say this is not the way we should be doing things. They have a chance to take a stand on other things. To me, there's not as important as this. So somebody needs to come up, take a stand, and say this is not right, and ensure that this guy who's his first year coach or second year coach, I think did a great job with Miami and probably should have never gotten fired.
Mm-hmm.
So I think somebody needs to step up along, even though he's doing his lawsuit, because he's doing what he thinks he needs to do to show that it's not right, and somebody else high up. The higher we go, the better off we are, and say this is not right, and we're not going to stand for it.
Yeah. G, you somewhere?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, yeah, tell me what your thoughts are, brother.
So, first I want to say how proud I am with Flores, man. It takes a lot of cojones to go out there and go against the NFL. Like you said, the Billionaire Boys Club. So this is a battle that him by himself is not going to win, but he's winning because he is now putting it out in the forefront. He's putting it in people's mouths. As you can see now, it's being talked about on every station. So he's doing what we want to happen. I think I kind of compare it to, it's not to say it's the same thing, but to the George Floyd situation where it brought attention and people see it now, and hopefully it will do the same thing and bring us all together. Like George Floyd situation did. It brought everybody from all races, all colors, all creeds together to fight against racism, to fight against inequalities. And I'm hoping that it does the same thing for Mr. Flores and just the NFL in general.
That's what's up. B.
Well, I like to. There's a couple of things about that I've had a problem with, and it starts before Brian Flores. But as far as he goes, he's a tremendous coach, tremendous defensive mind. The way his demeanor on the sidelines, his clock management, just everything about. I mean, every coach has their flaws, I guess, but his aren't really seen. He's a great coach. But I take it back to, I forget his name, the Arizona Cardinals head coach with Josh Rosen was there for 1 year. He got a shot. He was hired as a head coach, 5-year contract, played 1 year, and he was fired for Cliff Kingsbury. There's a lot of coaches that don't get a fair shake. And I don't know how you guys feel. And like my son is part African-American. I personally don't know your guys' struggle. I'm not going to pretend I do. I try to help understand, and so I can help be part of change and being better. But when it comes to these coaches, the Rooney Rule is abused, and it's not even really respected. And I think there needs to be changes systematically with that, because what message does that send that they put a rule in that you have to interview one minority head coaching candidate like that? My own team, the Cowboys, before they hired Mike McCarthy.
Is it one or two?
Regardless, it shouldn't. They did. Okay. It was one because they hired before they hired McCarthy. They interviewed Marvin Lewis, and we all knew he wasn't getting the job. Because it was a minority. Stop the formality bull crap. Like it doesn't matter. In my humble opinion, it doesn't matter what color you are, what creed you have, whatever your background is. If you are the best coach, you are the best position, you are the best, most qualified person for that job, you deserve consideration and to be hired. And he didn't deserve to be fired, number one. Like Chuck said to everybody, he did so well with Tua and with Fitzpatrick and that whole team, building that team, drafting well, turning assets like Laramie Tunsil into multiple draft picks. He helped with that. He was part of that. He wasn't the GM, but he helped those things. He kept, he's such a great head coach, and this is a step in the right direction because something has to be done. Like I said, the Rooney Rule's a joke, in my opinion. They don't take it seriously. They're not progressive with change, yes, but also just hiring the best candidate, not hiring these recycled coaches that are white or these. It's hard for me to try to put into words and compartmentalize, I guess, but the best candidate needs hired. And I'm good for Brian Flores, and hopefully it starts a chain reaction that causes change for the better.
Now, also, he's come out and he's commented on the past two, experiences, one with the Broncos. He said that Elway was disheveled. He was all over the place. He was on the phone 2 or 3 times. He walked in and out of the interview, only to, end the interview early, without a handshake. And, to him, I don't, like you said, it's hard for me to put myself in somebody's shoes when you're attempting to have an interview. Now, you know what? I'm gonna share my experience one time, before I worked at the place that I work in. I interviewed, and the lady, I was actually sent there on a hookup, like go holler at Zach from A to Z Media. He's gonna talk to you.
Tell him Kori sent you or something.
Yeah. And Zach didn't know I was coming up there, so I come up there, and I come for an interview. He didn't even know I was there. While I was there, left my resume on the table, went to lunch, and I was sitting there in the office. And when the secretary comes in, she goes, "Are you still waiting?" She left, and I was like, "She left." I mean, it happened that way. I don't think Elway had any intentions on interviewing him, but he was a little throwback, kind of perturbed with the Rooney Rule, and was just going through the motions. On top of that, his initial interview or out interview with the Dolphins didn't go well either. Somebody was drunk. I think they said I don't know if the owner was drunk, but either the GM was drunk and one person came in with like a side chick, had a chick with him ready to go. I mean, his two experiences with the interview were just terrible.
Right. And if
So,
I could say something too,
go ahead.
Mike F says in the chat, except he said right after the interview that it went great, so either he was lying then or lying now. I don't think he was lying at all. There's certain thing called professionalism, and when you're a head coach and you're trying to get jobs, it doesn't matter who it is. Like whether it's Jim Harbaugh that just turned down the Vikings job and is going back to Michigan. Breaking news, by the way. But it's like, not to steal. I'm just saying, like, he's not going to go and say the Vikings interview was a joke. He wanted nothing to do with it. He's not going to say it was just to run up his contract. Brian Flores is going to come out and say the interview went great because he has to say that. He can't sit out there. It doesn't matter who you are at that point. If I'm coaching and I say that was terrible, this organization's a joke, you start acting like that, no one's going to want you either. So, and I think now he's finally seen with the Giants as well, like the Giants interview with Denver, whatever happened, he said enough is enough. I'm going to start to speak out then. Yeah, but it's not exactly just lying. It's professionalism. You can't wear your heart on your sleeve being a head coach. You got to be a certain level of class.
So I guess my question would be for everybody. What would you do at this point if you knew that your professional coaching career could be on the line? Like I said, I'll start with you, G. How would you have handled this, knowing that your interview is Thursday, but they've already picked their guy on Monday?
That's a tough situation, and like Flores said, man, this is how he feeds his family, and that's why I say he has big cojones to go out there and do that. I don't know if I can be that guy to be the first one to step out on the ledge and forfeit my career, knowing that I have my family to take care of. That I don't know if I'm that bold, man, to do that. So that's why I have so much respect for Brian Flores. Right now, I can say, yeah, man, I'll do that too. But when the chips all come down, man, will you really do that? And I'm a freedom fighter. I'll fight. At work I'll fight. You know what I'm saying? So I'll fight, but to lose it all, to give it up, give everything up to do it, that it takes a strong person to do that, man. And I don't even know if I'm that strong enough to do it. So that's just being honest.
Chuck.
I don't know. I think maybe he's taking the mentality that maybe he thinks his career is over, and what he's doing could maybe help the future coaches that's coming behind him. Start the ball rolling. Start dribbling the ball. Don't pass the ball. You got to keep dribbling it. And if you're gonna pass it, then you will pass it off to the future behind you. And it's kind of like G said, with George Floyd. So maybe this and what he's doing by going and suing the NFL, that is just getting that ball rolling. And like I say, and hopefully some changes, I guess, like Zach said, to this rooming rule. Maybe the NFL needs to come up with a rule, I guess, like you gave some facts a few minutes ago about the number of black players that's in the league. Then they need to have a certain percentage of black coaches that's in the league and enforce that. And not just say interviews, actually coaches in the league. Now, how hard, I know it's probably gonna be hard to enforce it, but sooner or later, some changes gonna have to come. And I guess Brian Flores is saying is, why not me? If I know my career is potentially over with, then, like I say, I'm taking this step to make it better for the next man coming behind me.
Yeah. Zach?
Yeah. I mean, if I was him, and again, like, I don't want to try to overstep or pretend that I understand the struggle that you guys have gone through your lives and other African-American men, because I don't. I try to help my son, raise him the right way and other things. But if I was Brian Flores, first of all, I'd make sure, he obviously has a strong support system around him to help him with this decision. shoulders to lean on, because it's going to be tough times. But I wouldn't. His career at the NFL might be over, but there's really high paying high school jobs. There's a college out there somewhere that will make him a head coach. Just maybe not the NFL, so he can still feed his family. And I wouldn't back down. If I was him, I would. There's a high school out there that pays 6 figures plus for him to coach. There's colleges that will pay him, like when Lovie Smith didn't do anything of this nature, but he had spoken out publicly against the NFL about the Rooney Rule and about things like that. He ended up getting a job at Illinois. Different coach. He could get a high paying college job and still try to impact change amongst the NFL and amongst college or amongst any coaching as a whole, football as a whole and the world as a whole, and still feed his family. So if I had that option, I would probably do it, but I could see where G's coming from as far as like, that's how you feed your family. And that's your passion is coaching at the highest level. Then it's very easy for us to play armchair, head coach or armchair in the situation and say what we would do. But it's just another credit to him and the people around him that are supporting him and helping him through this tough time, because it takes a special person to, whether it's racial injustice, whether it's, other, whatever type of thing you're going through, it takes a tough person to stand up and try to enact change. And just all the credit to him.
Yeah. You know what? When you said that, it reminded me, that whole, when you step up to get somebody your seat, when you step up to or step aside so somebody else can walk through, a lot of people don't do that. I was actually, reading a comment section today, and that, somebody said the same thing. If I were him, I would just step down, go to the college ranks and try to make my way back. But then I saw somebody's comment. Once you're, you have that tag on you, 32 people, meaning, in that Billionaire Boys Club, 32 people get to choose whether you succeed or fail as a head coach. Now somebody said, also you would hope that one of these coaches, and like I said, either that Belichick carousel that had moved up and got head coaching positions, that know Brian Flores for that 12 years when he was on that Super Bowl winning, culture for the Patriots, somebody would pick him up.
Like McDaniels with the Raiders.
I don't think he'll be out of the league. It's just you would hope that one of his, one of those guys that was on his level when he was assistant defensive, special teams coach, he made his way up from the bottom to get to where he is. Like, even I could see Bill Belichick doing the same thing, because I think I've watched Tomlin do the same thing. When one of your head coaches get, they lose their position, he bring them on. Bill Belichick has done that on more than one occasion, where he'll bring his guy back after they've had a not successful time coaching. Nick Saban does that a lot. So I'm hoping that, he doesn't have to, like you said, go down to the high school ranks to find a job. But it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot to do so. And I'm, like I said, I'm hoping that it gets a chance. Now, my next question is this: how do you guys feel when you see a person get a job that was, let's say their last position was assistant, let's say assistant line coach, or the bag boy for a team, and next thing you know, he's a head coach. How does that make you feel when you've worked hard to get to where you are, and and you end up being looked to the side? I'll start with you, Chuck.
I guess it's definitely not gonna make you feel good. And I guess you can use the example of the guy, I can't remember his name, that was the head coach of Houston for 1 year. I think we talked about that on the show. I think he was like the special teams coach or something like that. That he became the head coach of Houston. They only gave him a year's opportunity, but
Arizona Cardinals, it was Steve Wilkes.
Okay.
Yeah.
He only had one head coaching opportunity for 1 year with the Cardinals in a rebuilding year. And then, and he was a defensive coordinator for the Browns, just retired. But he one head coaching opportunity with Josh Rosen. They're obviously rebuilding, just draft a quarterback who obviously was a bust. So nothing to do with Steve Wilkes, which Josh Rosen didn't even get a fair shot, but they gave him 1 year. Then they drafted Kyler Murray and signed Cliff Kingsbury. Steve Wilkes, there should have been an outrage about what happened to him because he had no chance to show what he had as a coach.
Wow.
Yeah, but I guess if that happened, then I would just take the mentality that I need to step up my game. I guess, and you talking about history, I guess, Kori, just something from my experiences in the past is, I was working at a place before the place I'm working now, and there were people that were getting promoted over me that weren't doing the same wasn't doing the same type of work that I was doing. So I went to my boss at that time and asked him, what's going on? Why is this happening? His response to me was, well, you need to go in, and he basically said, buddy, with the man in charge. And I can't say the words I told him. And after that, I told him, if that's what it takes to get ahead with this company, then I won't be here long. And about 2 months later, I was gone, and where I am now, where I've been for 22 years. So,
see, Chuck, that was saying you the OG of the show, man. You were doing this, in the 40s. You know what I mean?
Not quite the 40s now. Not quite the 40s.
When the Washington football team, when the Commanders had a name.
But yeah, so you can try to step your game up, but it's just certain things that's gonna happen that unfortunately is out of our control. So you can do what you need to do and do what's best for you at that point in time, and that's what I did in my situation.
Yeah, and it happens. That type of stuff happens everywhere in the workplace. Like where I work at now, I've been passed up for promotions just because I'm not in bed with this person or that clique or this clique. Mm-hmm. It's all clicked up. Mm-hmm. A lot of places you're at, and then, but I mean, that's also can be a little bit like it's different. It's different than that because you can work harder, and people might think this guy's more professional or business oriented. When it comes to head coaching, like the topic we're talking about, Brian Flores already put his interview out there, his real stuff. He took a Dolphins team with Ryan Fitzpatrick. No offense to Ryan Fitzpatrick, but he's known as a journeyman on teams fighting for the number 1 pick, and went 10-6. And then he took Tua, who had a horrible 1-7 start and won 7 straight.
Yeah.
It takes guts. It takes leadership. It takes gumption, however his flaws are. This guy has shown he's a winner. He's won Super Bowls as a coordinator, and he didn't deserve to be fired. This is same with Steve Wilkes. These guys all show that they can coach football. You know what I mean? They all show they're deserved at different times. Like Dusty Baker. He got fired prematurely in baseball multiple times, and they thought it was they literally said when he got hired by the Houston Astros, sorry to change, it's the same sort of topic, but they said, oh, he was the safe hire.
Yeah.
To make people happy. What does that mean? Dusty Baker's been to World Series. He's been a great manager for a long time. What do you mean safe hire? He was the right hire.
And took that team to the World Series.
And why do you got to talk about it why do you got to say it that way? I don't know.
Yeah. Now, I'm sorry, G, I didn't get your response to that.
Okay, and I want to comment on what I saw Mike F said, that Flores was a problem with the GM. He talked about the quarterback, et cetera, et cetera. All this stuff is doing nothing but trying to muddy up his name to make them look like they did the right thing by firing him. Anytime a coach gets fired like that, and with a winning season, of course they're going to try to make the guy seem like he's terrible. And one of the reasons that he didn't agree with what the GM was saying and the owner was saying, because they wanted him to forfeit the season and lose games, and he wasn't with it. He wasn't with losing the games. When you lose games, especially as a black coach, that's on you. They're not looking at the players. They're gonna look at you. You're responsible for winning with them players. And that's what he did. He chose the players over what they were saying. So he was standing up against them and all that. So if that's what they want to fire him for, then that, It's wrong. It's wrong, and that's not what the league is supposed to be. The league is not supposed to be. Let's people pay money to come see them play, and you're telling your coach to lose games purposely, and that's you know. I think people are out the Hall of Fame in baseball because they say they cheated or they bet on themselves or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And now you got owners doing the same thing.
And G, correct me if well, I'm trying to think of this too. We all played, right? We all played sports, football. I've coached basketball for 6 years. As far as like we've all been around a competitive sport. Have you ever seen or been a part of a team where coaches and a player didn't have a disagreement, or a coach and another coach didn't have a disagreement, or maybe got like a little loud, maybe a little verbal in an argument? Really? Like that's football, dude. That's football.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he's a bad coach or a bad person. That's football. People disagree. People get mad. People get angry.
These are alpha males. You're alpha males you're dealing with, man. So you're gonna bump heads. You're gonna bump it. That's what sports is. That's what sports is. And Herm Edwards said it best, man. You played to win the game. You played to win the game.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
So I disagree with that, but and to go back to your question, Kori. I would be highly upset, if I was looked over because of my skin color and had to jump through all these hoops and like I said, Brian Flores is an amazing guy, man. He's Colin Kaepernick. He's Martin Luther King. He's Malcolm X. He's standing up for what is wrong, and I commend him. A lot of people. This is happening not just in Miami, not just in New York. This is happening all over the league. But he's really the only one who has stepped out and said something. That's why I'm saying it takes a lot to go do that. A lot of people say they'll do it, but they haven't done it. You know what I mean?
And today Hugh Jackson came out and he said that he was also offered money to lose games, to ensure picks, future picks or future draft status. He said that I think he was offered $100,000 per loss by ownership, to make sure that they were able to get a certain pick to make sure that the future of the team somewhat is taken care of. Now also you had Eric Bieniemy who said that they come out and said when he was interviewing. Now this is how I feel in terms of a black man. He's been labeled as he was too fiery. One team said that he cursed during an interview. One team said that he was too. In other words, let's use the words that they were trying to say. He was too hood. He was too too ghetto, to be a head coach. When at this point he's gone to 4 AFC championships. He's transformed an offense in Kansas City, to a juggernaut. Rings. He's a champion. Only to this year not even get considered for a hire, for an interview. So he came out, he said, "Listen, don't interview me. I don't want to be, interviewed Thursday after you guys have picked your person on Monday. I don't want to be a part of the Rooney Rule if I'm not considered, if I'm not given the opportunity to be highly considered for the job." Let's go back when you mentioned the Hall of Fame. Kurt Schilling said, "Listen, you guys suck. Take me off the ballot. They're guys that's supposed to be in the hall that you guys, the media are not giving credit to. Just take me off the ballot if you're not going to do it right." That's the reason. He didn't do anything. He didn't get caught up in a drug scandal. He was just standing up for those who didn't get chose. So I think Eric Bieniemy was doing that same thing. Was saying, "Listen, don't give me an interview for the Rooney to fix your Rooney Rule or to have that 1% interview." You're going to have guys like that who are not going to get a shot because they spoke up. And I just feel like it's unfair. And I would hope that these guys who have come up under, Belichick, who've come up under fiery coaches like, what's your guy name that used to be
Bill Parcells.
Parcells, you know,
Yeah.
you have to find the coaches that have strength or the one that have power to say something. Now, my next question to you guys is, how do you fix it? How can because I was sitting there really thinking about this without feeling like somebody gave me something if I were in Brian Flores' position. How do you interview without feeling like the Rooney Rule was in place, or I've been given an opportunity because we got to hire a black coach? How do I showcase my talent without it feeling like I'm being given something? How do they fix it? Go ahead, G.
And all honestly, man, it's going to take years and years. This is not an overnight fix, but it starts with you have very, very old owners who are stuck in their time, and they can't see what the qualities that we all see in each other right now. They still see what they've been raised to see back in the 40s, 50s, So they're still living in that time, really. It's and I hate to call it what it is, but it's like a slave mentality. I heard one of the players say that they don't feel comfortable leaving the locker room and going upstairs to where the management is. It's like that's off limits. So that's what they're doing. And I guess even when you said, Eric Bieniemy said that he's too hood. You just said it. 70% of the league is African Americans, people who grew up in rough neighborhoods, people who grew up in the hood. So about coaching is about relatability. If you can relate to somebody and you can get that person to follow you, that's what it's about. What are these owners looking for then? If you're not looking for somebody who can relate to the player that you have, so change it has to come from up top. The same thing they did with Steve Ballmer at the Clippers, I think has to start happening in the NFL.
Yeah, Donald Sterling.
Donald Sterling. Donald Sterling. Yeah, it has to start happening like that. But the NFL has to be strong enough to fight it. The NBA is strong enough to do it. I don't know about the NFL though.
Yeah. The short answer is the owners need to just keel over. I hate to say, I don't want to wish that on anybody, but no, but it's and I think I feel confident enough to speak to this aspect of it. Is racism is taught. It's not bred in you. So like what I mean by that is these people were these old men were, like you said, G, was taught a certain way or grew up in a certain environment that isn't what it is today. They got to and like the NBA does it perfect. There's African American coaches, there's Caucasian, there's all sorts of different, but they're all qualified and they're all really good coaches. It's not the same guy that's getting recycled through the league. He's way past his prime as a coach. It's who's the new younger voice, who, no matter who it is, whatever color, and that's all it needs to be. It doesn't mean like you don't want to force a certain percentage or a certain this or certain that, because that's not fair. Like you said, Kori, like they'll feel like they're just given something. Like he'll just feel like he's just given it because he has to be. The best candidate for the job should be hired. Like like you said, it really stuck with me, Kori. Like when you said Bieniemy just feel like or Flores just feel like they're just gifted something. The right candidate who's worked hard enough, who's earned it, should get it. It's that simple. But in order for change to happen, these owners got to go away. Like it's that true. It's that simple.
So right now, the youngest the youngest owner in the NFL is Jimmy and Dee Haslam. Huh?
No, I thought it was a Jaguars guy. My
bad. Well, he's 66 and he was gifted the team from his what is this? It looks like from his the Browns. I mean, from his family. He's the youngest owner, like sort of like Stephen Jones. Them, they've been with it the whole time. It was gifted to him. So right now, he and his wife, are the young. Well, Green Bay, I don't know if you call it, Green Bay Inc. at 65. Mike, what is it, Mike DeStitt or Sid, whatever. He's 65, but he's not necessarily the owner. But
Yeah, they're publicly owned.
Yeah, they're publicly
yeah,
owned. Yeah.
yeah. So, well, and I say this as the oldest man, but you got some guys that after that is 70 years old for it looks like Art Rooney is 67, but I don't necessarily use Art Rooney because his family has been rooted in making things happen the right way for generations. So I don't use Art Rooney, but right after that, you got Jeffrey Lurie. They're older gentlemen, you know what I'm saying, who have been doing their thing. Like he's 70 years old, they've been doing their thing for a long time. They've been making decisions. Like you said, they've been taught how to, so-called pick players in the draft. And when they do this now, and these are my feelings here when we were talking about this whole thing. The NFL draft has showcased players for generations. You put these guys up in front of everybody. They measure you from head to toe. This person has big hands. This person has small hands. This person's IQ is here. Should they do the same thing when they choose coaches? If they get drafted, you've been put on display. You have to take a litmus test. You have to take the Wonderlic test. You have to take, everything to show that you have the quality to get to play on the big scale, on this big scale, and also make the money that you make. Should coaches be able, be tested? Should they be, broadcasted sort of like the draft to show who this person is, as opposed to it being, to be fair, if you're showing, like, if you have a line of X's, boxes that you check off, should it not be shown for everybody to see?
There's also a problem with that too, though, because like Lamar Jackson had one of the worst Wonderlic test scores ever, and look how great he is. Like things like, I think you're on the right. I think I 100% agree with what you're saying. Maybe something like a simulated game, put everybody through the same simulated game, the same situation, see how they deal with it. As far as like, let's say the Vikings in their coaching search, they put Jim Harbaugh and it's simulated like 2-minute drill, or like what timeouts do you call, or how do you, time management or things like that. Wish we would have done that with Mike McCarthy, but time management.
Would he have passed?
No, I just thought I'd throw a joke in there, but just different things like that. And then, like you said, that way they could sit there and look at it. Okay, well, Flores grades out the absolute best out of all these guys, and this is what we're looking for. This is what we said before the interview process, before we even looked at any candidates. This is what we looked for. He checks every box. He's the guy. Or Steve Wilkes is that guy, or Hugh Jackson, or Byron Leftwich, whoever it is, whether Lincoln Riley, it doesn't matter, whoever it is, this is the guy, this is who we're going with, and nothing else matters. You know what I mean?
My bad. Yeah, I got you.
I'm with you. On that.
I know when we talk about the owners, and then as far as hiring the coaches, do we think? I know we talked about how old they are and all these type of things and their age, but do we think it's actually the owners that's actually making the final decision as far as who's been hired, or is it their panel that's actually making that decision? I know ultimately they have the final decision because they are the owners, but there's probably a panel that they have that they're surrounding themselves around that's ultimately making that decision too. So I think that, like, I know it's hard to fire an owner because they are the owner, but maybe, and like G said, it's going to take some time, but maybe there needs to be some stipulations in there for franchises and for owners too, to make sure they follow some type of guidelines or something to keep them in line. Coach get out of line, they get fired. Nothing happens to the owners.
You're onto something, Chuck.
So I guess maybe there needs to be some guidelines for the owners also.
Make every team a public traded company. Like the Green Bay Packers. I'm not saying the Green Bay Packers are everything, but make every team publicly owned by whether it's fan bases or whoever buys stock in them. Then when something like this happens, the Dolphins screw Brian Flores, guess whose stock starts going down?
Yeah.
The Dolphins. And right there, then guess who gets fired? Top guy.
Yeah.
G, what you got, bro?
I'm sorry, dog. I was ordering something to eat.
Come on, G. We're trying to fix the NFL. He's ordering a Big Mac with extra fries.
Appreciate it. I had to give my son something to eat, man. My bad. Repeat the question for me.
Gee, what about Brian Flores? Yeah, can I get fries with that? Or
I guess what I was trying to figure out was a happy medium on how to make it fair. When you know, like I think Chuck was saying, if this is how you guys do business, I don't want to work here. You know, how do you make it a fair playing field for, you know, I guess an industry where we all know on Black Friday, you know, there's gonna be some coaches that they're gonna lose their job. But with that being said, how do you make the playing field even, you know, for choosing? It's you know, and it goes back to how they said men make, you know, 15% more than women in an industry where, you know, they're working doing the same job. You know, you would want it to be fair. You want that person that's looking at you to look at the same person, like I said, whether they're Black, Asian, Spanish, woman, male. You know, you want to come in there, unless, you know, there's no way of doing this unless a person was sitting there typing and you don't know who's behind, you know, behind I guess the wall or whatever. They're just typing to answer all the questions. You don't know. I mean, like I said, if you're judging, and I'll be straight up with you. When I worked in an HR setting, I remember when I was on a resume review team, and I remember my boss telling me at the time, the first thing you look at is the name. If you can't pronounce it like that, move on. You know, I was like, whoa, you know, I mean, people, you know, right. That was the first thing she told me. You know, if you can't, you know, if you can't, you know, pronounce the name, you know, without having to go, that I didn't particularly like that. I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't, but that was the first thing she did. Now, me personally, I didn't necessarily do that because I ain't gonna lie. My real name, if you pronounce my name is Korifi Nairobi Davis, you know, but I remember I had to, on my resume, I had just put Kori on there, Kori. But my full name is, look, I got people, where you from? What part of Africa are you from? I ain't from Africa, you know. But and look, my wife told me that, you know, I remember when we were choosing our children's names, we had to choose basically resume friendly names, you know, Austin, Aaron, Aria, you know, simple names that, you know, you can, okay, all right, my kid's resume won't do this, you know, I got at least, I gave you at least 2 seconds for your resume to get read. But that was what we had to do. We were trying to just think ahead, you know, as opposed to me naming my child, you know, Kuch Kinte Mumbutu Davis, you know, like, you know what? I'm just, when I watch them talk about this, you know, like I said, I'm trying to stick to this, you know, because of Black History Month. Just trying to figure out ways to get it done fairly, and I know it's going to take some time. Let's say, and I don't want to keep harping on it, but I just feel like, you know, everybody can't be a Bill Belichick, but they need the opportunity to be able to showcase what they can do.
Yeah.
So
no matter who it is, no matter what they look like or what they practice religion-wise, who they like to, you know, date, no matter who it is. Yeah. But the thing is, and Kori and Chuck, I was thinking about that.
Chuck, I need another bag.
Extra fries, please. Extra fries. Cut the mayo.
Is the shake machine working? I bet the shake machine
machine on. It's never on. But my thing is, if you make every team publicly traded, of course that would take forever to do. Make them all like publicly owned. But think about like, and it doesn't always happen. But like for example, stock in Madison Square Garden, the Knicks, like it's like MSG's a publicly owned and all that. When Dolan did what he did to Charles Oakley, stocks went through the crapper. That's why and he didn't really exactly fix it right, but that's why all of a sudden there was a PR team and they tried to cover it up and all that. If you do that, or like when something happens when Colin Kaepernick got the sponsorship from Nike stock went. You know what I mean? Like things like if and it show even if they're doing it, if it ends up they're doing it for the wrong reasons while the ownership's still there, like they're the CEOs while these old guys are getting washed out. If you make it about their bottom line, they'll get a fair shake. You'll get a fair shake. Just like I always say, like if like for Dolan or Jerry Jones, stop buying freaking tickets to the game, and then all of a sudden they'll start winning. Like affect their bottom dollar, and they'll care about what product they put out there or what their integrity looks like, or change. And it sucks to sound like that it has to be that way, but like G and everybody has said, this older generation isn't going to change. Or it's going to be very hard for them to change. So until they wash out, I think that's a way. It's just that would take forever to do. But I think that Chuck gave me that idea. That light bulb went off in my head to Chuck. And that's the first and only time I'll say it, Chuck. I'll give you credit. Help me pick us up.
Hey,
but I think the change, like you said, it has to come from up top, but it has to come from people whose voice runs deep. And like when we black people can't stop racism, like we can't stop it. But when our white brothers and our Asian brothers and everybody comes together, that's when the change happens. So you saw that happening a lot now since 2020. I mean, everybody's starting to come together. I think in the NFL, these big names have to start coming together and not just letting one person stand up like they did Colin Kaepernick. Everybody has to start standing up. Andy Reid, the Bill Belichick, the Mike McCarthy's, the Mike Tomlin. Like he should be. His name resonates high in the NFL. He should be one of the ones to step up to it and come together. That's how we get change up in the upper management. That's how we get change. You know, Andy Reid spoke out before with Eric Bieniemy not getting any interviews. That's the only way. That's the only way it's going to happen if they do it. If they all come together, man, and say we all want to change. But like, it's hard to say they all want to do that. You know.
Because then, but like they all have to have like Andy Reid knew, and I wouldn't even say I don't know about white privilege as far as like what exactly like because I've had it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but as far as like determining what it is and what it isn't, it's hard for me. Like I said, I don't understand completely. I can't sympathize, because I'm not a minority. But Andy Reid, what I mean by this is it's not just privilege is why he has a job. He's a genius. He's a great coach, and he's always going to be a job. He's certified. Like he's proven. Like you said, guys like that can stand up and should stand up because are you really going to fire Mike Tomlin? He's never had a losing season. Look how stupid you'll look, and look what lawsuits coming your way.
Right.
How much crap you'll see if you fire Mike Tomlin after he stands up for somebody. Like or Andy Reid, like you said, Bill Belichick. That's just they would have no choice. But they would have no choice but to listen, and they would have no choice but to at least hear them. But then it comes to the question, why not? Like, why haven't they?
When we talked earlier a few weeks ago, when we realized that he gotten fired, I think when we were on the show, I think it may have started with Chuck, or either his brother James. He'll be working in our mind. He's gonna be working tomorrow. He's gonna definitely get a new job for what he did. With that 7-game win streak from if you're giving me scraps and I make a full course meal, and I feed everybody with it. Listen, like you said, he ended up I think on his team on that squad now. With the team that they put together, I think that there are 3 Pro Bowlers that are on the Miami squad now. I mean, it's like when you produce players like that, or when you make did they make the playoffs or they came close? Or what?
They were real close, but they were I think the 8th seed. So they were the first team.
Listen, none
with a bunch of young guys.
Right, they were counted out from the beginning, and then like I said, ownership says, listen, we want to, we kind of want to tank this season. and like you were saying, these are alpha males here. Tank the season. You know,
Hello?
Hmm?
Hello, you play to win the game.
Yeah. And they got my bad. Let me see. They said they got Mike Franklin said they got eliminated week 17. They got 1 Pro Bowler, not 3.
The F stands
My
for
bad.
fact checker.
Yeah, man. So, but when you work hard to get to that position, and then for somebody to tell you to throw in the towel, like you said, I mean, hey man, listen, my job is on the line too, and I feel like it's damn if you do, damn if you don't. I'm gonna end up in this same situation. I might as well go ahead and make the best of my squad. So
That's his livelihood. Like you just said, he has to coach his butt off, or else he won't get another job. It's any coach.
It's as tough as it is. I know that they have black players who pioneered their way through the NFL, only to be either shut down, or shut up, in order to make some changes.
And then you got guys that do all these terrible things that are bad. It doesn't matter what color you are, that like kill people, beat their wives or their kids, and as long as they're good and can win games and fill seats, they'll always get a job. But these guys that actually try to trailblaze and create good change or do different things get blackballed. It makes no sense to me.
Facts. I want to like I said, with this being said, man, I don't want to harp on it a lot, but I'm glad that you guys have a lot of opinions. I'm hoping that there are more platforms that are discussing it the same way that we're discussing it. Like I said, it's terrible as it sounds. It's a black eye for the NFL in Black History Month. I know a lot of people don't see it that way, but for it to happen the way it did, hey man, listen, it's to me, I've been thinking about it damn near half the day. You know what I'm saying? But let's transition a little bit here. And
one thing, Corey, before we transition,
go ahead.
This will probably never happen, and I think Zach mentioned something about somebody mentioned something about bottom line. But what do you think? What would happen if one Sunday all of the black athletes decided they weren't going to play and they show up for the game?
Jerry Jones. Oh my God. I don't know what I can say, but he'd be screaming. He'd be going to every church that likes to sing, and he'd be hanging out at HBCUs. He'd be hanging out everywhere. He'd be dressed like Eddie Murphy from Coming to America, and be like, "Come back! I'll do anything for my money."
Wow. Some that I know it never happened, but some that drastic would bring about some change. Because that hit him straight in the bottom line. No games, no fans, no TV.
It did. Okay, so to answer that question, man, that's a deep question. Now, is this scenario? We stay back on. If this scenario just as tough as Colin Kaepernick's taking a knee? Because they said they didn't walk off the field for Colin. And to answer that question that Chuck presented, it's inequality. If they decided to do that now, this is like I said, this is the second big thing lately. Colin Kaepernick lost the rest of his career, and we're looking at Brian Flores probably doing the same thing. We know it would piss a lot of people off, but are they strong enough to do that? Like you said, what was that football that when it was a team with Keanu Reeves, or it was a movie with Keanu Reeves, with the Replacements.
The Replaceables, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good movie.
Yeah. Would they really walk off the field? Because you got some guys, you got some guys that make millions on millions, and then you got that guy that's the number 64 on the team that only makes, 200,000.
Right.
That's the thing. Yeah. That's why it's going to take so many years to do this change, because nothing's just going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
For all sorts of different reasons or excuses, if you want to call them excuses. But Colin, I'm sorry. Whether you agree with what Colin Kaepernick did, or I don't want to take this theme of the show,
Go ahead.
Whether you agree with what Colin Kaepernick did or not, he did not suck. Okay, he was a starting quarterback on a Super Bowl team, and although there was your Trent Dilfers of the world that made it to Super Bowls and Brad Johnson, I'm not saying, but they were all great at what they did because they're at the highest level competing at the biggest game in their craft. Now, were some better than others? Yes. But Colin Kaepernick, the year he retired, since you like facts, Mike, one of 4 quarterbacks in the entire league that year to have a 4 touchdown to 1 interception ratio. He played 8 weeks on a terrible team, 16 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. The only other 3, it was him, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott. In Dak's rookie year when he was a game manager and actually didn't turn the ball over. 4 guys.
Jab.
4 guys. Yeah, it's still, my wounds haven't healed. 4 guys in the entire league. So he was top 4 in a category, which means he was top 10 in passer rating and in the top half of the league in total QBR. So if he's an above average quarterback, in my estimation, if you're on a bad team and you're putting up above average numbers, you can't say he sucked. He wasn't benched twice for Blaine Gabbert. He was hurt. There was a difference. He had shoulder surgery he was recovering from. You can look at his numbers. They were good numbers.
That is – well, go ahead, Chuck.
Oh, no, I'm good. I'm sorry I kept us on this. I
No,
know you
good,
wanted to move on.
No, G, you got something to add to that? G
He
got a
eating right
burden in
now.
his
No,
mouth.
I'm good. I'm good, baby.
I'm sorry. I guess
But
I've
that's
always
not-
been kind of passionate about that because of where I live in middle of hillbilly nowhere in Pennsylvania, and
But that's
you can only
I guess-
imagine the things I've heard.
But I guess this is pretty good though. Like I said, is there can you compare the differences? Are there differences in levels of how I stand up for myself by taking a knee, or like you said, putting the NFL on blast for what they did to me? We know we knew what one consequence was for his actions.
Yeah,
And
But
we
this
know
is not the players. This is management. Management had to step up in this one.
if I
So
could
the players didn't have Colin Kaepernick's back. You had like out of all the 450 players, you had like 5 players that had his back. This was on the coaches. The coaches got to have their coaches back. So it's a fraternity, right?
But
It's a
you're
fraternity
asking,
of coaches.
yeah, but you're asking 31. Well, no, 30 at this point. White coaches to stand up for this brother of color. Is that
Right? That's the question. Do they agree? Do they agree there's an inequality? And that's what it's about. Do you agree there's an inequality in the NFL?
there's an
And
inequality in the whole world.
Right, yeah. Like this is just not an NFL thing. This is like Zach said, like Kori said, this happens on all of our jobs. This happens all around. And Chuck, the same thing. This happens. This is a life situation that just happens on sports. And sports is just a microcosm of what life is. Anyway. So, but it's getting people talking about it. So that's the first step.
I don't understand where this narrative's coming in the chat, and I like Mike F. He comes to my show whenever I took a hiatus, but he goes, but it doesn't make any sense. He wasn't benched for there's facts. He was a good quarterback. He's been to a Super Bowl. He put up great numbers. Why do you keep saying he sucked and he was benched? And he wasn't talked into kneeling. His brother, that in his adopted family, was in the military. He asked him, and all that bullshit. Pardon my French, about unpatriotic. This, that, and the third. He grew up in a military family. He was a military brat. Colin Kaepernick's a military brat. 1, 2. The NFL, and you can look it up, didn't even come out and do the national anthem until 2009, until they were paid by the United States government and the military for the salute to service. So where was the outrage about the patriot? And I'm a patriot. I love my country. I'm not going to get into politics and all that because there's no need. If you want to, you don't bring up religion or politics if you want to be friends. But what I'm saying is, why is it all on? Why is all the blame or all the crap? And I guess I'm asking you guys this because I'm trying to understand. The crap seems to be on the people that, even if they're wrong, that try to help change, even if they go about it the wrong way. However you feel about it is however you feel about it. But it's always on them, but it's not on the people. Like, there's nothing about the NFL. There's no stories out there about them not doing the salute until the salute to service till they were paid. There's no stories about the other side and how corrupt they are or what they do. Like we're talking right now about the coaches, about the Rooney Rule being bullcrap, about all this stuff. There's no stories about like that being in there, put in there as a bullcrap thing to protect them or anything like that. It's just they're getting on Flores and they're blackballing him. Why is it not covered both ways?
Because money controls the narrative.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Money controls the narrative, but that's why we're doing what we're doing right now on this show, and trying to call out, the big guys. The little people are now trying to speak up, and if you get enough little people to speak up, then the voices will be heard. But that's the like I said, the money that controls what's being said. So they're gonna put out there what they want us to hear and see. That's like you said, that's life.
I don't know. I guess I just.
I'm sorry. Hold on, guys. Go ahead.
Damn, but no, I guess Chuck. I don't know. I get it, and also my son growing up, and I never really saw, and people I never really paid attention. Let's say to. I was never grown up or taught to be racist. I was never taught hatred for anything like that. But it really bothers me now that I have an African American son, my own blood, and I see that he's the only kid in his class, or that he's being treated a certain way, and I start to see it, and it breaks my heart because he's it starts to hit closer to home. And that's why I seem a little bit more passionate than most white people about this topic.
White chocolate.
Big country. Big country. Big country. Big country. It's big country.
Well, cool, man. Man, listen, I'm glad you guys have, really thought about it. I'm glad that I wasn't the only one that had some trigger thoughts on, I guess how I felt about what's been going on. We all, the way I like to feel, we're students of the game. We're passionate about it, but at the same time, we learn a lot from it too. I try to make sure that, like I said, we are raising kids, or we have raised kids. Chuck, you've done your job.
That's right.
Chuck's 35. Chuck's 35 right. And looks great. What are you talking about?
I know, right? You've done your job, kid. So commendable job. But at the same time, I want to make sure that this next generation erases, the mistakes that we, that are being made now. So I appreciate, all your in your comments. Now my last statement is for people like my man G, who protect the rights of, we work at a company where you have to have people in place to protect your rights as an employee, right? He's one of the guys, like I said, that stand up for the little guy. Do you feel like in the future, is the NFL gonna have to have that, in place, to protect a person's right as a like I said, for this coaching situation? I'm still trying to harp on it a little bit, but when G said I'm one of the guys that protect, you have guys who, okay, how I want to say it is, the owners are the gatekeepers, right? They have the key, they have the ability to let you in and out. Who's going to be able to regulate that? I think the NBA has been doing a great job of, changing the narrative with the owners. You don't see, if you knew an owner right now for the NBA, with the exception of New York and LA, you generally don't know who the owners are in the NBA. They put that in place to where it's evenly, you own the team, yes, but when after a loss, do they talk to you? No. When you hire somebody, you don't know where it came from, but you would think that it came from a more fair place. I'm just hoping that they have more gatekeepers, or they try to figure out better ways to inundate that billionaires boy club, man.
Yeah, they need to. The players have a union. Why shouldn't the coaches?
Sure,
Because
man,
you're both coaches and players have a lot in common. You're both hired by the owners. You're both fired by the cut, traded, whatever the case. G, don't fight for James Littlejohn. That's what he said. But G's one of those union reps that's clicky. He likes to say what it. But they need to have and I like that union delegates that are voted upon by other coaches, and maybe it could have been maybe it could have helped wrongful termination for guys like Steve Wilkes or Hugh Jackson, Brian Flores, things like that. Maybe at least it would have drug out and made them look even worse, and it would have hopefully done something, open people's eyes, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they should be unionized a long time ago.
Management never does.
They never do, right. Management is part of the ownership, like kind of. So they figure they're kind of in the same circle.
Their checks come from the team, or some of their checks come from the NFL. So yeah.
Now why couldn't to expedite it? Why couldn't the coaches union or the coaches be under the players union? Because that would really stick and crawl two different ways. One, they'd have more of an established union to fight. They'd have high impact guys like, for example, the NBA, LeBron James, Chris Paul, guys that are great with social issues, that would also have the clout or the rep, the name to actually stand up for people and affect change. And number two, if there's ever a CBA issue and they all walk out, what are you going to do? Get replacement Bill Belichick's and replacement, Andy Reid's? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they both
walk
out.
Great. I've never thought about that.
And if they want to strike, or if something's like for example, this Brian Flores thing, they all want to walk away. Bye. Replace us all. It'd be like me and Chuck blocking each other one-on-one out there. It'd be a shit show. No one would know why. And she'd be like, "Hey, is the flurry machine working yet? Run whatever play you want, Kori. Run whatever play you want."
Right.
But I would like to see them do that even without a union. Like you said, if they can all come together like that, why not? Why not do it without a union? I mean, I like the union. I want them to do it with the union, but it's the same concept, right? Like you said, we're sticking together to make the owners do right. Why can't they just do that now? Because like you said, they're not gonna get rid of Bill Belichick. They're not gonna get rid of Andy Reid. They're not gonna get those people. So
I think it's also with the you guys work in a union as well as myself. You know how it goes. Like as long as you have it in the contract that it's a sanctioned strike, you'll have your job and there's nothing they can do about it.
Right.
That's why literally if the coaches join the players union or whatever, they merge or form a union of their own, and it's in a contract that if you do something social injustice or obviously blatantly racist or prejudice in any way, we have the right to sanction a strike. And then you can walk out and say screw you, and no matter how long it takes, they can't fire you when you come back. That's where that protection comes in. Because you said, they all got to feed their families too.
So fun fact that I just looked up. So in the NBA, only one coach has been traded per se, which was Doc
Jason
Rivers.
Jason Kidd was traded too.
Who? Jason Kidd?
Jason Kidd was traded too.
Recently?
For the Nets to the Bucks.
As a coach?
Yeah.
Was it?
He was traded.
Okay. All right. So two then. I guess when they pull up, so this was in 2000. This article was put out in 2020. So let's say, so there have been two that have been actively traded. So I guess when we're talking about that, if you're a part of this, like I said, the trade franchise, or if you're part of, like I said, this player situation where you can be traded at any time, I think you should be covered. Now in the NFL, John Gruden was sold by the Raiders to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he was sold. Is that considered sold or trade? He was sold, during that time for 2 first-round draft picks. I mean, like, I feel like if you're a part of the same situation that the players go through, yeah, you should be covered under the union.
Bingo.
Yeah. Like I said, I think he's I can't remember or recall any other. I guess by just looking up simple, when I put in the question, has an NFL coach been traded? He's the only one that comes up on this feed here.
Jason Kidd was traded from the Nets to the Bucks for 2 second-round picks.
He was traded. Okay, so we got 2 in NBA, and then you got 1, for here. But I think you should be covered. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
cool, man.
Why would you have to get traded? You shouldn't be able to be traded then if you're not under the same protection.
Yeah, that's facts, man. That's facts. All right, man.
Who's negotiating these contracts?
I want to cover one last thing, because my man down on the bottom, I want to get his I guess expert opinion on the new name that's been added or has been, I guess, established by the Washington football team. They are now the what, Chuck?
Commanders.
Fellas, does that sound like an NFL team?
It sounds like the Washington Who Cares.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and put this out there. I've been saying this all year long. Everybody been asking about what's your team name, name. Other people have been more concerned about what Washington's team is gonna be named than what Washington players have. I mean, Washington fans have been. But the name is just a name. It doesn't govern how the team is gonna play, how the team is gonna produce.
Well, then you might as well name him the Washington. Name him the Washington Last Place.
Last place in what? Last place where?
In life, in the division, in everything.
So we were last place. I'm gonna tell you, like I told G earlier today. G came out with some of the same things that you're saying. My comment was to G. My comment was to G is you act like your team is gonna be playing next Sunday.
No, well,
they're not.
Chuck, you know better. You know how I am with my Cowboys. I'm honest with them too. But y'all battle for last place more than we do. I'm not. Dallas sucks. They suck when it counts. Dak will never win a ring. Blah blah blah. I've already said all these things. So you can't come at me the way you come at Chief. I'm pessimistic.
So you saying Dallas has never battled for last place?
No, I said less. I said less than the Washington last place recently. That's why I said.
See, I need to have control too. We
were 6-10. We were 6-10 last year, and still. I mean, you were in first place, but the division sucks. Regardless, but it was just a jab because you would be able to jab with me the same if Dallas wanted to change their name.
Oh, man, and giving America's team another
Kori
name.
About the team.
Go ahead, G.
Kori.
It's a nice XFL team. That's a nice XFL name.
It's a concept XFL name.
Yeah. The Commanders. And it's funny because I told Chuck months ago that was going to be the name, and Chuck told me, "No way! You don't know what the name is going to be.
No
way you're going to tell me."
No, the thing I told you was you started talking about they're going to have stars and all this kind of stuff.
Cowboys suck. They're not playing next week.
So the new name from just on a simple thing here says meet the Commanders, right? In honor of slain officers, football players, basically people like who have been put in, honor rolls and have maybe I don't know if it's saying died, just they honor slain officers, so that's how they came up with the name the Commanders. So I mean, does that make sense to you guys, or that do you respect
You know what that
how
sounds
they came
like? That sounds like Dan Snyder and the bullshit Snyder family trying to sound like they're not a bunch of you-know-what. They're not a bunch of Donald Sterlings or whatever the hell. Donald Silver, whatever the hell. He's trying to sound like he's not worthless.
I sent y'all earlier today. Play that video if you want to play something.
They look. Hey, look. Hey, G just told me to post that. I didn't put that up. G had
Do it again. Do it again.
Look, G said, look, he sent me a text. It got something on it. He put that there. But
I was talking about they got a shirt. Don't they have not the video, the picture. The picture. Go to the picture.
I don't see no picture, Chuck. He don't have a picture set up in here. I don't see it. I can't find it.
Go to brand.
So what G did was he took that little picture and changed the little caption to put Redskins in there because that's the same thing they were doing after Debo crushed them.
Hey, I'm looking, Chuck. I can't find it, man. He don't have it here. Look, he got that. That's it. Look.
I know. That's how he is. That's okay.
But let me ask you, Chuck, what does that mean to you when they say they made this name, in honor of slain officers or people, who's been in military situations or police situations, the commanders, you know what I'm saying? Is that it was kind of honored behind that, or that the idea came behind that? How do you feel about that?
I'm good with that, and I think it's got something to do with being in the nation's capital. But like I say, name is a name. It's gonna take some getting used to. We've been Redskins for I don't know how many years. So it's gonna take some getting used to. But it's my team, and I'm rolling with it.
Let me ask
regardless what everybody on this channel, regardless what everybody on this channel thinks.
There's still time. There's still time to convert. You're not that old.
Converting.
You can change.
I'm not converting. No.
Okay.
He said I'm not converting. Now let me ask you: should they not change the colors though? If you're gonna go with the Commanders, what's the name Commanders?
No, you can't change the colors. If you change the colors, that means you get an older uniform. You got to modify the stadium because the stadium has the same colors. Are they not
billionaires?
Change it. You have the opportunity to redo yourself. Change it.
Give me that. If they want to do blue and silver, just have the Cowboys bring the benches.
The reason they're gonna keep the colors is because people like me that's got a lot of Redskins stuff. It still means that you're associated with Washington because the colors are still the same.
But I'm saying you don't feel like this is a time for change, a time for new colors, military colors. Get that army green in there. A commander. What kind of commander comes in all red?
Red and gold.
Yeah. If I'm in war zone and I come in with my red and gold clothes on, man, you're gonna get shot. They can see you.
When these commanders command everything next season, then we'll see what y'all have to say.
But I'm saying to you, this is all in honor of military. Come on, man, y'all in DC. If you come into the office with them colors on, they're like, hey man, you out of compliance, you out of uniform, but
you Russian?
I get he's trying to save money. That's what he's trying to do.
Mother.
You know something?
Well, they can't field a good team, so they're not going to be able to change colors.
I can't say the words I really want to say, but D if you do, D if you don't. So the whole season, we've been getting beat up by not having the name. Now we finally got a name, and there's something still wrong with the name.
All this time, they literally purposely stayed football team for another year to think of a good name, and this is the best they can do. You know what this was? This is they might as well have hired high school version of me. Said you had 6 months to complete this research paper, and I just had the same paper from last year and just put a new freaking title page because that's what I used to do, and that's exactly what they just freaking did. Let's just cross out right there, Commanders. It's the same thing.
It's just hate.
It's the worst
just like
name in
hate.
It's horrible. It's horrible, dog. You just admit it, Chuck. This is one of the worst names ever in sports.
No, it's not. The cow chips need to change their name to cow chips.
I don't know. The Houston Oilers is still pretty bad.
I like the Oilers name. It went together. Houston Oilers, Washington Commanders. That's Don't even. That is. That is
So how does Dallas and Cowboys go together then?
When you're first place, when you're first place in the division, it don't matter what it sounds like.
No,
But you're at home with me right now. Welcome to the party.
I know,
Welcome
right?
to the party.
No, yeah. Hopefully you kept the seat warm, Chuck.
I did.
Yeah,
I kept.
You're in the commander's.
You're
You're in the commander's chair.
That's gonna be
Come
next
on,
season
man.
too. In the commander's chair.
Got it. Well, man, listen, that's all I got, man. I mean, do y'all have anything else that y'all want to add to the show, man? Because I mean, that's kind of where my head was today when G asked me to step in, for him because he was out, taking care of his son. And like I said, in true form, I was telling him I knew that between the four of us, we could literally fill up a show, without having, like going through this, same lineup that G normally goes through. I mean, we really, like put our heads together and made the show happen with, how we were feeling. And I appreciate that. Do you guys have anything else that y'all want to add, for this show?
I kind of do. And I wish Prince was here. I guess I'll just get my take on it and then kind of hear what you guys have to say. But
Come on with it.
they shouldn't have let Jim Harbaugh come back
To Michigan?
The reason I say that, you get a top 10, you do all the things you did, and I'm grateful for it. It took forever to do it. You're 1-6 against Ohio State, but you finally did it, right? Then you recruit this class off the strength of, this is just the beginning. I'm not leaving. And on National Signing Day, you fly out to Minnesota, interview for the Vikings job. You don't get it. You weren't picked. And then you just come, were we supposed to just accept you? Okay, Jim, come back. Come back. What? Fire! You should have said, look, you are sending the wrong message to these kids. Whether he comes back or not, which he came back. It was breaking news during the show that he came back from Michigan. He's coming back, whatever. What message does that send? These kids are going to be in the transfer portal so fast. That top 10 recruiting class is going to go right down the tubes. They're going to miss so much stuff anyway with him coming back. It used to be Bo Schembechler's favorite saying, it's about the team, team, team. No one's bigger than the team. No one's better than the team. It's about the team, team, team. It went from the Michigan Wolverines. It's now become the Michigan Hardballs.
Now, do you feel like him going to interview
on National Signing Day,
right? Did that mess up? I mean, do you not feel like you guys are going to be in that competition area in the Big Ten?
You watch. All these guys are going to transfer. That's the rumors now, the volcano effect. Because what can you stand on? Like, if you're recruiting these kids, and most of them, Michigan, you're not going to get all the 5-star, 3-and-done guys. You're going to get 4-, 5-, 6-year seniors who are getting degrees too and trying to better their life. If you're selling them on the fact that this is just the beginning, I'm going to be there your whole career, all this stuff, and then literally on National Signing Day, you go interview for another job, and the only reason you're back is because you didn't get it, what message does that send?
How do you know he didn't get it? The sources said that he came back and I'm returning to Michigan. Like he made the decision.
I can send you literally saying 2 hours ago that he told his coaches to take a week of vacation because he didn't do what's best for you because he wasn't coming back. And then all of a sudden, I'm back in Michigan after the interview. How do you think the interview went?
Wow.
He wasn't interviewed for Miami. He wasn't interviewed for the Raiders job. Wasn't interviewed for the Giants job. And they hired nobodies. Josh McDaniels, stuck with the Tebow train, does not deserve another head coaching position. The Giants hired who the hell? It's like the Commanders. Who cares? Who knows?
Oh man.
Well, you stuck with the Commanders.
You got all these guys that were literally nobodies. Jim Harbaugh's been to a Super Bowl. He's done all sorts of great things. And they still didn't want to hire him because he's an egomaniac. It's all about him. And now he comes back. This sends a terrible message. If I was the athletic director, you get on that plane to Minnesota, you're gone. It's one thing. You're fired on the spot. You already telling me because it's one thing going to the Raiders. His wife, they met in Las Vegas. He got his coaching start with the Raiders. He played with the Bears. We entertain that. That's cool. That's part of your journey. We get it.
But Michigan gave him permission.
The highest cap, they gave him permission for those two. And then he said, screw it, I'm going to Minnesota. I'm interviewing. He didn't really give them a choice. He told them the day of, today. And you sit there and say, okay, they literally have Kirk Cousins. They have the oldest team in the league and the most cap-strapped team in the league. What is there to gain? He just doesn't want to coach at college anymore. He just wants to be in the NFL. You lied to all these kids that you recruited. You went out and you failed miserably at getting the worst open coaching job in the league right now. And then you come back, we're just supposed to accept you. No, fire Jim Harbaugh.
Wow. Go ahead, Chuck.
Wow,
oh, go ahead, G. My bad. Go ahead, G.
no, hey, my man got a point. He got a point. Like, these kids are vulnerable. So if you go and you tell a kid that, hey, I'm for you, and then you up and try to leave, their trust is gone. Kids they're not gonna stick around. So once you lose the trust of the kids, you don't have a squad. So I didn't even think about that aspect of it all. Like you said, man, if he made a choice to leave and go for interviews, he should have left. Like, don't come back. Don't try to come back and hey babe, I want you back. I'm sorry. It was just one night. It was just one night, baby.
Michigan's that battered and bruised, abused female that just won't take. Like, he changed his time, and I'm that best friend that goes, he changed his time. You don't remember the first 30 times?
I don't love her. I don't love her. Go ahead, Chuck.
Well, I guess that's kind of similar to what Steve Spurrier did in South Carolina. He did something. He didn't go for an interview, but he kept saying he was going to retire. Now I'm staying. I'm going to retire. Now I'm staying. And I guess the last few years he was there, South Carolina started going down because he couldn't recruit.
Yeah.
Now he left Washington, right?
And the difference is a little bit different. Jim Harbaugh's supposed to be a Michigan man. This is supposed to be his dream job. That's all the bull crap he said. Like, he's from Michigan.
Now, I'll say this.
Go ahead.
This
Sorry,
is my
I'm very
opinion.
passionate.
This is my opinion. I think he peaked this year with when winning against Ohio State. You know how they say, you peak in high school. Where else was he going to go? Do you think he's going to beat Ohio State again?
Yeah, but you know why? Because look, this put us on the map. This is really supposed to be just the beginning. Because now this year we have our first top 10 recruiting class in a long time. Guess what? We beat Ohio State once. The recruiting starts getting a little bit better. You continue to have good years. You had an easy schedule this year. Should be 11-0 going into Ohio State, going into Columbus. Like both teams should be. And then, God forbid we win again, then we get maybe a top 5 recruiting class. Then you actually start having a chance to compete in the college football playoff. You actually you're getting more 5 stars. You're getting more 4 stars. That's how you build a program. That's how Saban did it with Alabama. That's how he did it with LSU. They started beating teams. That's how the SEC got built up. It used to be the Big Ten. You remember? It used to be the Big Ten. The SEC started winning. And guess what? It solves everything. They got better recruits. They got referees on their side. They got all that crap. But, that's how it goes. They just could have started, but they gave up. Michigan, Jim Harbaugh just screwed us. He just Tony Romo'd. He just dropped the freaking field goal. We had an easy opportunity to build a program.
No Tony Romo slander on the show.
He's my favorite player of all time. It just came off the top of my head. It just that's the only way I can describe it. He had us all. He had us all. All of us fans. All of us fans are cheering. All of us fans are excited, and then we all hated him. You know what I mean? That's the best way I can describe it.
Let me tell you, I think we talked about this once before, and like I was saying, I felt like this was a time for Harbaugh to leave. It was the time after he had done, you're not going to keep beating up Ohio State. At least I don't feel like that. You're not going to keep beating up Ohio State, man.
We still have the record all time. We got the winning record against you, man.
All time, that time, though, then, but as of lately, I don't know if
it's got to change.
I could have done it two times in a row, 2 years in a row. Huh?
You'll see. Your wife will see too.
Yeah, and listen, and then at the same time, okay, it's stuff like this to when, like I said, if you guys have lost confidence in some of these players behind him going to interview, you guys just put yourself back another 5 years, right?
Yeah.
So it was gonna happen anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if you decide when I don't know if G or if it was Chuck that agreed with me. At this point, I felt like he had peaked as Michigan's coach.
Yep.
And it was time for him to go ahead and roll out. You know what I'm saying? This is, if anything, this is a better time, if any, to get back to the NFL. But
at the same time, though, Corey, I'm sorry, but he just now changed. He finally added young coordinators. He got younger in his coaching staff. He changed the way his offense ran. He changed the way his defense ran. His philosophies about recruiting. He completely 180'd. So he didn't peak. It's the beginning of the new. It should have been the beginning of the new Jim Harbaugh. I'm not saying he didn't. He probably thinks the way you guys are thinking right now. But I'm saying, if I'm me, it's just a start. It's just a start. Like, we're starting to now taste success. Now we're going to want more. Michigan's that name's starting to live up to it. Recruiting's going to get better. The coaches are going to get more experience because the coaches' average around him was 34 years old, the average age. They're going to get better.
I respect that. The only thing is, and this is my opinion, Michigan has to find a college coach. You feel what I'm saying? A committed college coach.
Right.
Not somebody that's going, like I said, Saban could have interviewed. He can interview every year in the NFL. He said that I am Alabama's coach. Is Jim Harbaugh your coach? Is he a Michigan coach? Is he a college coach?
The problem, I understand where you're going with that, and I totally agree. But the problem is he sold it to his alma mater, to his athletic director that he's friends with, to the whole organization, the whole college, all the fans. He sold it to everybody that was him, that he was done with the NFL. All this stuff. Like, it's all in articles, public record, his quotes. You can listen to him. Like, he's always said, I'm not leaving. He bought a house here. He sold all of his other houses. He lives right by his parents, right in Michigan, right by the state. Like, he put on this aura, and then as soon as he got a chance, bolted. And then screwed the pooch, screwed the interview, failed with the Vikings, for crying out loud, and then comes back. That's the most disrespectful thing you could do. Then just stay away. Stay away. You already did the damage by applying for the worst coaching job. That's like you're a manager where I work, and I can't say where I work for confidentiality reasons, but pretty important place. Manager, and then I want to go to a minimum wage job. What?
So would you feel better if he hadn't done it on signing day?
Not even just on signing. Yes, but that was also terrible timing. Do it before the recruiting so that they can find a coach, find a direction. If that's my alma mater and I love him as much as he says he does, okay, look, this is my last season. I'm going after this. I'm interviewing for coaching jobs. Get your recruiting class off the strength of our assistant coaches. And Saban is also the best college coach of all time. It's a little different, but he also wasn't a star quarterback at LSU or Alabama, whatever the case. Harbaugh was a star at Michigan. That's what makes it different.
That's why he came back.
But I'm saying is, you act like you're don't lie to the organization. Don't lie to the fans. If you really love this Michigan like you say you do, you say you're a Michigan man, be honest. I'm leaving at the end of this year. Recruiting class needs to be whoever's going to be the next coach, figure it out, whatever. I'm sure they would have been, okay, you got this year. This is your recruiting class. This is it. Whatever we take is whatever we take. And then after that, as soon as the season's over, you're done. And then we start recruiting. And we start building our organization for what the next 5 years look like. He just set us 5 to 10 years behind schedule with what he just did, whether he stays or whether the Vikings say, just kidding, we want to hire you,
So then will you feel differently if he should happen to beat Ohio State again this year?
I mean, I'll be happy, no question about it. But I'm not saying anything. Harbaugh did a great job this year. And I was off his bandwagon after Shea Patterson threw like 3 or 4 picks and they lost 58 to 20 something. After that, I was done. as far as like he just didn't change. But this year, I gave him all the credit. He completely changed the way he hires assistant coaches, the way his philosophy is. It's still that rough, gritty team, but he tweaked it enough to be where I thought he would be, and he did a great job. But you can't do this. You can't be this disrespectful to the.
But I heard somebody say this, Zach. Did he not earn the fact? I mean, did he not earn the right to interview with to get back to the highest level of football? Did he not earn it?
No, because you could have paid Brian Hoke, or Brady. You could pay Brady Hoke. You could pay Rich Rodriguez for 12 years and tell him, yeah, you can go 1 for 7 against Ohio State. You can not beat Mel Tucker. You can, you can lose to top 10. You can be, I think he's 4-29 now against top 10 teams. Yeah, you can be completely awful compared to what we thought you were going to be, and you earned it for 1 year. No,
okay, but
1 year out of 12 ain't
last year.
It.
That's what I'm saying. But last year they didn't. Okay. 1 out of 12, right? So from 1 to 11, he didn't earn the right to be considered right. So year 12, he is now in the coaching carousel for 9 NFL spots, or at least out of the 9, I think it was 3 of them with Chicago. I think like I said, Chicago, Minnesota. I think it was one other team that was considering Harbaugh.
Only team that interviewed him was Minnesota.
Well, what happened at Chicago? Was he not?
They didn't want to interview him.
Well, at least
they
were
called
talking
him,
about
and they were talking about it. Yes,
they were. You know what I'm saying? He was talked. So it was like, and so okay, even with that, only one team. He only interviewed with one team. Is that so bad?
Yes.
I mean,
on National Signing Day, yes. You did not earn that.
No,
he's not Nick Saban. He's not Nick Saban. He's not Dabo Sweeney, or he's before when he was at Clemson. He's not Jimbo. He's not Bobby Bowden. Rest in peace. He's not even Jimbo Fisher. He's not even Jimbo Fisher. You don't have you can't Nick Saban. What are you gonna do? He's literally accomplished everything he could possibly accomplish, and even though it's still win, he has nothing to prove. Harbaugh has a decent year. I mean, a great year for Michigan, but losing in the playoff, I mean, it's not like if he won it all, that's a different story.
Would you feel the same way had he interviewed for the Cowboys if they had an opening? Would you talk the same way if it would have been the Cowboys?
You want to talk about a shit show circus? Have that egomaniac go up against Jerry Jones? I think it'd be a 12-round split decision within the first week of training camp in a boxing match between those two, just off of ego alone.
But I'm saying you wouldn't be saying that if it were if it were the Cowboys.
Yeah, I would, because as a Michigan fan, it doesn't matter. You can't do that on National Signing Day. That's like if
it is.
If Jimmy Johnson all of a sudden was the Cowboys coach, and literally 2 weeks before the season said, you know what? F it. I retire. Or I quit.
As a father, you know what? I would agree with you. If it's not National Signing Day and I've already, I've talked to Jim Harbaugh,
this whole damn class, promised them everything.
And that hat is on the table, and then he's interviewing at Minnesota. Yeah, I would definitely, be in my son's ear like, listen, what we don't know what's happening right now. While National Signing Day is going on, he's in an interview. Yeah, you're right. It is tacky. It is very tacky. And
I tell my son, no, we're not signing right now.
We're not signing.
Because then you got to think, what happens to the rest of the coaches? And you don't think Harbaugh meant to leave? You really think he would have let his brother take his defensive coordinator that just completely revitalized his defense after 1 year if he didn't have every intention of leaving? You don't think he would have screamed his brother's head off or said, no, you're not allowed to interview my defensive coordinator? Come on, he wouldn't have let his brother of all people, take his defensive coordinator. If he wasn't, see you guys, my bags are packed.
Oh, he was out.
That's what I'm trying to say. So then you bring him back. Gone. You look pathetic as an organization. I know the colleges, but it's an organization. Let's be honest. It's money driven. To let him come back, fire him. Goodbye. Promote Evan Gaddis, who's from Penn State and then Alabama. great offensive coordinator, great offensive mind, great football coach. You guys look him up. He's a great coach.
He's not a Harbaugh though.
It doesn't matter. He's been under Harbaugh and Saban's coaching tree.
Okay.
He's a good. You got to start somewhere. Evan Gaddis is a great coach. He made Cade McNamara look like Tom Brady until Georgia game. Until the Georgia game. Tom Brady in college was a game manager. He made him look like a college Tom Brady.
Okay, college Tom Brady.
I didn't say Tampa Bay Tom Brady. Damn.
Gee, where you at, bro?
I actually heard somebody say that Tom Brady is the greatest manager ever.
He is.
Because he does whatever it takes. Whether you need me to throw the ball 5 times, I'll throw the ball 5 times. You need me to throw for 400 yards, I'll throw for 400 yards. Whatever it takes, he does. So he's the greatest bus driver ever. That's what I heard somebody say. And it's not really a bad thing.
No, I just meant like in college he couldn't even beat out Drew Henson. He was not. What I'm saying is he was big in big games, which Cade McNamara was huge in that Ohio State game. What I'm saying is he had him looking like something I never saw in a Cade McNamara, and I had him for 3 years. Like what I'm saying, like there's different things he did. You know, he recruited J.J. McCarthy, was a top 3 quarterback in his recruiting class, 5-star recruit. You know, he was going to probably hopefully start next year. You got all these guys that he's brought in, and they got weapons on the outside. Wait till you see them next year. They're Andrew Anthony. These guys are studs. Give him the shot because he's going to be appreciative. He's not going to just up and leave on National Signing Day. He's going to be able to recruit and say, listen, Harbaugh, we didn't know about him. He wasn't stable, and he only got it done 1 year. We're trying to build something that's consistent here. We're trying to build something over years, that's going to last years, not just flash in the pan and then I'm gone.
I'm a firm believer in order to become, the great, like how I said, the great ones. Something happens. It's a catalyst. Something happens that triggers something. You know how they say how champagne was made. It was by mistake, but somebody added something and voila. Like with Jordan. Jordan had to be cut from his high school, basketball team in order to find something in him that said, listen, that'll never happen to me again. Tom Brady said the first conversation he had with Robert Kraft was that it was the best, pick you ever made for me to be the last one, when they finna turn off the lights in the draft stadium and did you get picked? Yeah, come here. We got a quarterback. When they show his photo when he was all, skinny and stuff, and he was like, listen, just give me a chance. And just so happens when Drew Bledsoe ended up getting hurt, I mean, I'm not coming off the field anymore. You ain't losing. I mean, something happens to a person that metamorphosizes them and they become great. You know what I mean? So,
and then when Harbaugh becomes great, he says, okay, I leave now.
Yeah. Who is your greatest all-time in basketball, football, and I guess we can go baseball. But we'll talk about that on the next show. Y'all think about that.
I was going to say, don't do this.
Yeah.
We're on here for 5 more hours.
I know, right? So, well, cool, man. Like I said, I appreciate the extra additive to the show. Is there anything else you guys want to add, man, before we close it out?
Thanks for having Big Country on, even though it's thanks for having Big Country on to talk about these hard-hitting topics. Really
Tell them where they can find you at, baby boy. Tell them where they can find you at.
Oh, no, don't worry. I'm taking a hiatus. Don't worry about it.
Taking a hiatus?
I haven't posted nothing in weeks.
Okay.
That's a conversation off air. But
okay. What about you, Chuck? Right. What you got, buddy?
Oh no, I'm always grateful to be on the show. I think this is a great avenue, great venue. Like G is trying to do, want to keep pushing for subscribers to build it up. And I started out, for those that's watching, I started out just texting along until they found out I was a Washington Commander fan. Zach.
Yeah.
Mike F, I'd gladly come on your channel whenever you want. You just gotta hit me on Twitter or whatever at A to Z Media Net.
Yeah, man. Same with
And
me, Mike.
right here, and he's asking where I get my sources, so I'm going to show you in just a minute here. I'm going to show you just a minute here.
And like the bottom of the screen says, everybody, if you haven't subscribed, please go subscribe to the channel, like and comment, and tell a friend. We're giving away 2 Hawks tickets to a game in March. For the most people subscribe. So when they do subscribe to the channel, make sure they like and they comment in the comment section. Have them put your name in the comment section, and the person with the most names in the comment section will win the tickets. I've seen an influx of subscribers, but I don't know where they came from. We
all big
appreciate
country.
it.
Give me them Hawks tickets. All me.
Yeah, my dog.
Make sure they're against the Knicks.
Yeah.
Hey,
We
man.
appreciate it. We appreciate it.
I can't take credit. I'm just trying to get the tickets.
Y'all don't realize them Hawks are on an upstream, man. We're on an uptick right now.
Get
Hawks,
out of
man,
here. You guys suck.
Shh. Hey, man, we're 8 of the last 10 games, man. So we're on an uptick, man. We're on an uptick.
And we're on the downswing.
These tickets are a hot commodity, man. They're a hot commodity. Like you said, the Hawks are rolling right now.
Were they like 13 bucks? 13 bucks a seat? Front row, right behind Trae Young's bald head.
I would say, man, they are some great tickets. I mean, there's some great seats, man, with a great view of the floor. Some great seats, man. You guys, listen, be honored to get them, man. And like I said, it's going to be a good time when you win them.
Of course. Will you guys be there with the fans, or
no?
Or are you just giving them 2 tickets?
We will not. We will not.
Go out there and have a good time. Well, for me, man, and the KPG family, G, go ahead and close us out, big man, and I'll put your video on there.
Hey, man, we appreciate you all rocking with us. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Y'all can be anywhere else, man, but y'all chose to be with us, man. We appreciate you, dog. We love you. Kori, way to put it down, baby boy. Great show. Episode 87 in the books. Let's get it.
Like I said, for me, my man Chuck, Zach, A to Z Media, my man G that's out there. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to go ahead and end the show. Let me do this here.
Starting off fresh with KPG. We starting off fresh with KPG. We started off first talking with G. Then we went and added Kori. Added Prince, that's the KPG. We starting off fresh with KPG. Added Prince, now it's KPG. And we just talking with KPG.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, fellas.
Later.
Appreciate you, Zach.
Later.
Yep, you got it. You're still live, Kori.
In the broadcast.